Registered representatives offer securities through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Financial advisors offer advisory services through Securities America Advisors, Inc. Forest Hills Financial, Inc. and Securities America are separate entities. This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steinler.
Good morning and welcome to Keep Your Money Show. I'm Jamie Westenbarger, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, Mr. Bart Steinler. Bart, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's another $1 million morning.
It is indeed.
I was supposed to say indeed it is.
I'm sorry, indeed it is.
There you go. We always do it that way.
I didn't know it was specific. I apologize. This is the Keeping Your Money Show where we cut through all the bulls, the booyahs, the bells, whistles, honks, and horns to get you to the information that actually helps you move towards retirement, whether it was by car you got to work this week or by boat or canoe or, the weather of summer is very interesting.
Yeah. Yep. It's appearing to be a rather short summer this year.
Yeah, because it hasn't started yet. But if you're just tuning in, maybe you're listening to the Grilling Guys and you're like, what is this? We are the Keeping Your Money Show. Stick around. We got some good info. We got a great show on deck today. We're going to talk about how upcoming changes to retirement laws can affect your financial future. Last week, we talked about the ways it can negatively affect it. There are some good things in there, though, that I think we should highlight as well. Interesting article in USA Today this week. Millennials, you've got it all wrong. It's titled, You Need to Stop Saving for Retirement, which probably will shock anyone that we're going to talk about that. But we'll explain what the writer means. How the average American millionaire is managing their money in this market. It may surprise you. And when is travel insurance worth the extra cost? We've got all these summer vacations coming up. They always want to sell you travel insurance. Does it ever make sense to actually consider that? We'll talk about the pros and cons of that. If you missed any part of the show, you can always find it on our website. Just go to keepingyourmoney.com. You can also find us on all your fun social media platforms, facebook.com/keepingyourmoney or twitter.com/keepingmoney. And of course, our show is broadcast on all of our podcast partners, iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, and Spotify. Just search for the Keeping Your Money Show. If you ever want to reach out to us, feel free to do so. Our toll-free number is 888-98-MONEY. That's 888-986-6639. Or shoot us an email, info at keepingyourmoney.com. Another reminder, we've got our annual golf outing coming up July 25th with proceeds to benefit Kids Food Basket and I Understand Love Heals. We would love to have you out if you want to golf. Maybe you want to get a foursome together. Even if you're a single player, we'll match you up with some other people. We're also still looking for a few sponsors. Lots of opportunities available. Some great contests, putt for dough contests. There'll be a raffle, a silent auction, as well as the hole-in-$1 million challenge, which is new for us this year. The opportunity for somebody to win $1 million if they make that once-in-a-lifetime shot. Kind of cool. That's very cool. So for more information on that, you can check it out. Just go to keepingyourmoney.com/golf or give us a call, 888-98-MONEY. So we talked.
I have a question on that $1 million. Is that a drive or a putt?
That is a drive. That is a par 3 hole-in-one.
Okay.
About 160 yards, I believe. So it happens.
It does happen.
Saw somebody won one in Arizona the other day. It was in the news.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be awesome if somebody won. I'm not paying it, so
yeah,
we got insurance for that. I hope somebody win. I hope a couple people win it.
Yeah, that would be great.
We talked about this Secure Act that's been going around in Congress and being discussed. Last week we talked about how the negative impact of it is the concept of a stretch IRA could be severely impacted by this. I felt like maybe we kind of missed some of the positives that have come from this, though, too, because they are within this act. And now there's a Senate version, there's a House version, there's going to probably be some, collaboration, and then they're going to come out with it. But there are certain things that seem to kind of be consistent between the two of them. And some of them are updating what a lot of people would be consider kind of ancient rules. As we've aged, retirement is sometimes later in life, retirement lasts longer. So there are certain things that have kind of penalized people if they kind of work beyond what's considered normal retirement. And some of this law helps to address some of that. The first being with legal age of contributions. Once you reach 70 and a half right now, you are not allowed to contribute to traditional IRAs anymore. Under the Secure Act, if you are still fully capable of working and doing so, you'll be able to still contribute potentially on a tax deductible basis, continuing from right now what it looks like as long as you work, which makes sense. I mean, if I'm working at 75, my age should not dictate whether I can get a tax deduction or not.
That's right. And well, I still think the vast majority of people probably want to retire before that, and that's in their plan. There are people who get enjoyment from their work. I talked to somebody earlier this week who is 71 years old and basically retired from their second career. And probably the main reason they retired from that career was all the traveling that was involved in it. But all of a sudden, when they announced their retirement, they had a request from another company to come talk to them about working for that company in a similar position that would be a lot less traveling. And, they're saying, you know what? I really enjoy working. Why retire?
Right.
And a lot of people feel that way. So that, with the increased longevity that we have in our lifetimes, it makes sense that you, as long as you are working, you should be able to keep contributing to your retirement.
And kind of going hand in hand with that, it may surprise some people to realize that some people retire because of a provision that's currently in IRA and 401k law, and that is that at 70 and a half, you have to start taking required minimum distributions. Well, for people who have sizable IRAs, that can be a significant amount of money they're forced to withdraw from that. And in doing so, combined with potential income they're making, it can push up their taxable situation pretty significantly, to the point where, honestly, some people make a decision that I'm going to retire now since I have to take this money out of my IRA anyways. Kind of in a tip of their hat to that, depending on which version of this ends up going through, they're going to raise the required minimum distribution age somewhere between 72 and 75 to acknowledge that life expectancy has definitely changed this provision. Now, you may ask, why don't they eliminate it altogether? And that is because the government wants their money, and they've let you defer it for 30, 40, 50 years. They want to get paid. And the only way they get paid is if you withdraw. And if you're a good saver, you might never withdraw it, and they don't want to wait till you die. So
right.
and the long and short answer is because they want their money, and it's not going to ever go away. Required minimum distributions are here to stay. If we can at least extend it a few years, that's a definite positive.
I wonder if they ever consider something like saying the maximum amount that we will tax your required minimum distribution, it would be at such a percent, and that it's not going to add to your gross income amount to increase your total tax obligation. That's probably not going to happen, though.
No, probably not. Probably not. Another provision of this, if you ever worked for a company, in your 401k, many times you'll see the fine print in there that says full-time employees only. There have been provisions in 401k law to allow for companies to exclude workers who did not work a minimum. Usually it's a minimum of 1,000 hours is kind of they're going to lower that. It looks like somewhere maybe in the neighborhood of 500 hours. So if you consider, even if you worked 20 hours a week, it would allow you as a part-time worker to still participate in a 401k. Now you might say, well, if somebody's working part-time, then it doesn't necessarily mean anything. They're probably not going to contribute, but you also miss out on some opportunities where sometimes one spouse is working part-time.
Exactly.
And it's not about the income. It may be about benefits. It may be just to stay in the workforce. I've had a number of situations where clients would easily take the spouse's entire income and commit that to savings. This allows them to participate in a plan, especially if that plan has matching. If you're working 25 hours a week at a company that does not offer you their 401k, but if you were working full time, they match 6%. That's a huge amount of money you're just giving away, and not that you have an option there. Whereas now there will be options potentially to participate.
I think that also can be a good incentive for younger people who are working part-time while they're going to school, or maybe they're working part-time and still living with their parents, so they don't have a lot of housing expenses.
Sure.
To get started on their retirement investing.
Yep, absolutely. I'll give you another example. If you're in some type of part-time job that's tied into what you're going to school for, you might actually make some pretty good money in that 20 hours a week. And if you don't have expenses because you're still in school or you're living at home, it could give you the opportunity to really sock away a pretty good chunk that when you do enter the workforce full time, you already kind of have kickstarted your retirement savings. I think it's a great idea. And I think tied right into that in a similar vein is the idea of credits for small businesses. So the idea behind this is many small businesses don't have 401k or retirement plans. And quite frankly, a lot of it is cost. You know, it's costly to set up these plans for a company that may only have 5 or 10 employees. Built into these laws or bills, they're looking at credits to small employers if they do set up plans, even credits that will encourage auto enrollment and auto escalation, which we've talked about a number of times on this show as being proven to really help people save for retirement. And then one provision that's in the House bill that has not been discussed in the Senate bill, and I think it would be a great thing if it's handled properly, would be allowing small businesses to band together to offer 401k plans. So you might have professional services where you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce or you're the member of a professional organization with your own profession, and you have the ability to enroll your employees in their 401k plan, even though they don't technically work for that organization because you're a member of it. That would allow a lot of these mom and pop 1, 2, 3 employee type companies to afford offering retirement benefits to their employees, which is an absolute plus. I don't see really any negatives to that whatsoever.
No, and just to give you a little more understanding, when a company goes to put together a plan like this, the plan provider looks at the amount of assets that are going to be there and bases the pricing of the plan on the number of assets and the number of employees that are going to be involved in there.
Because the work is the same kind of regardless.
Right. So if there's a smaller number of people and a smaller number of assets, the expenses associated with those plans are going to be higher. Thus, the expenses per employee are going to be higher, and their chance of success is diminished by that. So if you have 9 or 10 companies that can band together and put together a significant sized plan, it could help cut down the cost and benefit each employee that's involved in that plan.
Yep, absolutely. And then the last thing that's being discussed, and I kind of agree with the author of this article that was in Forbes. It's Eric Brotman that wrote the article, and it talks about annuity options becoming available more readily in 401k and retirement plans. And the author says, you know, this could potentially be a bad thing. It could be hazardous. And I agree, it could be. Mm-hmm. We see people choose their retirement options in their 401k very haphazardly. They don't understand what they're invested in half the time. I just read an article. Oh, actually, we're going to talk about it later, about someone who's contributing to a 401k for decades and actually wasn't investing in anything because they didn't bother to ever set up the investment options. You know, if there are annuity options, the positive of that is it could definitely create streams of income for people in the future in their 401k plans. The negative of that is they need to be very, very easy options to understand. We don't want to get into complex products inside of a 401k that people already are hesitant to participate in. We don't want to make it more complicated for them to figure out what they actually want to put their money in inside of that.
So here's one of the problems that I've always seen with 401ks is you give people this platform where they can make investment selections and put some of their money away and help to invest towards retirement. And that's great, okay? But not everybody is really qualified or willing to put in the time to understand what those investments are, to know how to put a portfolio together, to know how to make a selection that's right for them, to figure out their risk tolerance, to do all of these things that need to be done. And the amount of service that comes with a 401k plan is usually minimal. Sure, somebody will stop in there once or twice a year and they're there to answer questions and that, but it's not enough to help the individuals actually put the plan together to make it so it fits them.
Yep.
And I think when you take a product that's complicated as an annuity and set it in there, you'll find that some people may be buying a product that they're paying expenses on for 10, 20 years that they're not going to see the benefit of until the end.
I think if you put a complex product like in that, there needs to be some regulation that says there has to be a level of explanation and service taking part in this plan.
Right.
It has to be an active advisor involved with this plan.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how it washes out. We'll continue to talk about it, of course, coming up. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about this article. All you are doing it wrong. According to this author, you need to stop saving for retirement. We'll talk about that coming up next on the Keeping Your Money Show.